May profits be upon you. How are you doing? Glad to see you. Okay, you're trading with RT money. All right, that's what you're doing. All right, and what we're going to do is we're going to go over the FX futures. All right, we're looking at the Forex futures and we're going to check the individual currency strengths of each individual currency here. And we're also going to look at that and then pit the strongest against the weakest against the strongest, so we can have the highest probability pairings, so we can make high probability trades, right? The highest probabilities. That's what we're talking about, right? Now let's look at the RT money meter. The RT money meter tracks the rate of change of each individual currency future over a 15-week period, and I update this list every week and I rank them, all right, from strongest to weakest. All right, last week we can see that the US dollar was number one and still number one, moved from 395 to 379. It's been moving sideways. However, it is still the strongest of all the currencies, and I will pit the weaker currencies against it. Okay. Number two this week is the CAD at minus 268. Last week it was minus 0.75. It was like bullish. I mean, neutral to bullish. And this week it took a step down in strength, right? Took a step down in strength, but it moved up in the rankings because the other ones got so weak. All right, but I want you to also know that the week prior it was at minus 0.68, so it was moving sideways from the 19th through the 27th, and then took a step down, minus 268. But it's still, relatively speaking, stronger than the other six currencies. All right, so these two are the strongest. Euro took a big step down this week at minus 307. Last week it was at minus 421. Right now, you might say, what are you talking about? A step down. All right, when we look at the individual futures chart, you'll see exactly what I mean. It's still very bearish. All right, prior to this, it was at minus 485 and went to minus 404. So you're looking at it kind of tick up, tick up, tick up. But if you go down, if you look at the previous weeks, over a 15-week period, it's been very bearish, and we caught the pullback. All right, number four is the Swiss franc at minus 413. Last week it was at positive, right? It was in a positive territory. It's one of the strongest at 383. But this week it took a huge step down. This is the Swiss pairs are one I'm looking to avoid, because at best it may start to go sideways right now, but it's not in a place where where it's kind of moving sideways in big, wide ranging kind of moves, but it's moving sideways. That's not the one you want to be. I want to be trading. Now we get down to the weaker four. All right, Aussie is at minus 442. Last week it was at minus 0.47, a little neutral bearish, but it took a huge step down. It's very negative. Number six is the yen. The yen has been pretty weak over a period of months because of the Bank of Japan policy of deflation. Devaluation with to keep the yen devalued. So it's at minus 489 this week. Last week it was at minus 578. Yeah, it ticked up a little bit, but it's still very weak. And number seven is New Zealand dollar at minus 520. Last week it was at minus 197. All right, kind of neutral bearish. All right, but it took a huge step down. Just like the Aussie did. All right, and this is one of the ones I definitely want to put into play. So the last one is the pound. The sterling is at minus 521. Last week it was at minus 404. It is by far the weakest of all the currencies, and I definitely want to put that one in play. So what am I looking at? Pound US dollar. All right, pound US dollar. Right, pound pound US dollar, right? I'm definitely looking to short that. All right, that's going to be one of my favorite plays going into the week. New Zealand dollar USD, definitely. US dollar yen, definitely. And I would consider Aussie US dollar as well. All right, I already put out a video on it already. I'm looking for more bearishness in there, but you're going to have to wait patiently for it. Also looking at CAD. All right, pound CAD. Looking at pound CAD and New Zealand CAD, yes. And we can take, you can take a good look at CAD yen. All right, and you can also look at Aussie CAD as well. All right, because the Aussie and the New Zealand dollar, they also have bearish momentum. They're moving bearishly as well. So you want one of the weaker ones that is also getting weaker, right? Put that against a pair that is actually strong, and if it's moving, getting stronger, that's even better. But I'm definitely looking towards that to that end with the US dollar. So those would be the pairs I'm looking at. But let's look at the individual futures, right? All right, we can take a quick look at that. We're looking on the daily charts, and you can see that the US dollar is, I mean, it doesn't get, this is a full bull run. I mean, this market is, there's no mistaking what it is. All right, and it's getting stronger. And you see this red line here? I want you to see this on the 4L. You see that red line is an area where we just broke supply. We broke supply here with that peak above. Supply is failing. So I'm looking at the next target for the US dollar to reach here at 111.00. All right, I'm looking at that whole number, that psychological whole number there, and I'm looking for price to reach there. The COT report, the COT report says that 76% of the banks are long in this currency, and they've added 2,361 long positions. They also added 1,945 short positions, but the majority, that number, when it's 75% or better, I want to go with the banks, and they've been consistently long. All right, they might be, you might see the numbers starting to come down on it from 78 to 60, 76%. They were at 82% back in July, right? But they're still long, and they're adding long positions. You understand? All right, let's go to the Canadian dollar. The Canadian dollar was the COT report say they're 63% long. They're 63. The banks are 63% long, and they've added 5,087 long positions. They also added 4,135 short positions, but they are 63% long, right? And what do I want you to notice? All right, the trend is definitely down, definitely bearish. All right, and this is the weekly, right? This is the weekly, so let's keep that in mind. Let me go back to the daily. All right, and we can see the price action a little more clearer now. We have internal breaks of structure here. All right, internal breaks of structure. We have the swing high here, swing low. All right, made a lower low, a lower high, and I'm expecting what? A lower low to be made. I'm looking for this low to get hit, to be met and passed. And I'm looking at a target of 75,200. All right, that target lines up with the next opposing demand zone down here. Okay, and I'm looking for price to come on down there. So I am bearish in the Canadian market. All right, I am bearish in this Canadian market. Now, I'm also looking at putting this against the weakest, the pound and the New Zealand dollar. I'm looking at putting this against the weakest, even though it's pretty weak on its own. You can see that it's starting to pull up a little bit here, and that's going to happen next week. You know what? Let me stop it here. Let me make sure we go over this. All right. This is the upcoming news for next week. All right. There's probably going to be very little activity on Monday because of the Labor Day week holiday weekend, and the banks, the U.S. banks will be closed on Monday, so that'll kill a lot of the activity for the other pairs. I mean, for the other currencies, right? Tuesday, I want you to watch out for the Aussie interest rate decision. All right. I would avoid trading the Aussie until Tuesday, until after this news. When there's interest rate decisions, they have the potential to reverse the markets. So, and they tend to drift before these interest rate decisions. So I'm letting you know, this is one you want to make sure you have on your marked out on your charts. All right. And Wednesday, we also have the Canadian dollar interest rate decision. All right. Like I said, these markets will probably be slow moving until this interest rate decision is made. And I would hold off on trading CAD pairs until after that Wednesday interest rate decision. All right. Thursday is another day. All right. European Central Bank is going to have their interest rate decision. This is going to be high impact, folks. High impact, folks. They're looking for a 75 basis point hike, and they're already looking for. They're already what do you call it? The number is already baked in, and there are investors and whatnot are already looking. What do you call it? There's a name for it when the numbers are baked in, and they're already expecting it. They're already accounted for it. All right. Here's the deal. It's because the economy in Europe is not like the U.S. dollar, not like the U.S. insofar as if they raise the rate, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to attack inflation, because their inflation is based on the numbers. Everything's starting to go crazy because of the gas. I mean the fuel and the oil, because of oil prices and whatnot with the Russian war and Ukraine war and stuff. So that's not going to help. So if they raise it up too high, it could cause other problems on the supply side, as opposed to the demand side in the U.S. dollar. So those are things you want to keep in mind anyways. All right. And you also have the Fed, Powell is going to give a speech talking about interest rates in the future and all that good stuff. So those are the high impact news items that you want to be aware of. Should have put that out before we started going into through the futures. I'm sorry. So I'm looking on the Canadian dollar. I'm looking for prices to come down lower. But I'm also going to expect price to kind of drift a little bit. All right, as it has made this low into this demand here, and I'm looking for price to probably come up and then come back down, and we'll see. All right, because it's not, there's not a whole lot of momentum here, and we see this the way Friday closed bullishly, so we can see price come up a little, and then we can see price start to come back down. All right, let's move on. On the euro, all right, the euro futures, the COT report says that it's 55% short. This is like 50-50, so I don't tend to even consider the COT report at that point. Now, unless they're doing big numbers in, like adding big numbers of longs, or taking away big numbers of longs and then adding a whole lot of shorts and whatnot. They're basically 50-50 in this market. However, if we look at the structure of the market, we can see that it's very bearish. All right. There is no mistaking that. The lows are being taken. The swing highs are being protected. All right. Nobody's coming back up here to take that swing high out. All right. We're taking out these lows, making lower lows, lower highs. And here we are. All right. Now, you see this orange line here. We're hitting a weekly demand zone, That's what we're hitting. And if we come down here to take a look at it, we can see it's not the strongest, but it does have the potential to push price up just a wee bit. I'm thinking we're going to get some kind of reaction here. All right. But understand something. The news is coming out for the interest rate on Thursday. So we might get price moving in the opposite direction. All right. Now, if the numbers are already baked in and the investors have already accounted for a 75 basis point hike, all right, we could still see price coming down. All right. And if they go lower because they're being more prudent to, and adjusting to their specific unique situation in Europe. All right. If the ECB is looking at it and saying, if we raise it up 75, we might we might start some really bad chain reaction here, and things get worse. Maybe they go 50 basis points, right? And you can still see that as a weakening, a bearish peril for the euro, the euro. So I'm looking at price to come down further, and I have a target of 0.97800. All right, and that is this area here, of course, and we can see price maybe getting its footing there, but I'm looking for price to come down lower for sure. Now, if it does start to drift up because we have a bullish candle here, it closed a bullish doji, it may come up, it may come back up here to form the bearish flag. All right, and then we can see price come back down. All right, I'm thinking that is a likely scenario. Moving on, the Swiss franc. All right, the Swiss franc, the banks are 54% short on this one. 54% short, not a big discrepancy, but the Swiss, let me tell you, again, this is on the weekly. I keep forgetting to go back to the daily. You see, this is hard to gauge, isn't it? All right, we had a very bearish run, very bearish. All right, and then price went bullish, right? Made a higher low, a higher high. All of this is internal highs and lows here because this bearish impulsive move has to be corrected, and it took a while for it to get corrected. All right, and this was the pullback. This was the pullback into the premium area of pricing where you would want to take shorts from. All right, but we broke structure. We broke internal structure, right? Internal structure and substructure, really. And price has been bearish here. All right, and we have a bearish leg of structure, and we've got equal lows there. That price did sweep for liquidity. All right, can we expect price to pull back? We can expect a pullback after every break of structure or when liquidity is grabbed at key levels, right? And we have it closed as a doji, but I suspect if price does pull back, I'm looking for price to resume the bearish momentum. But this is a pair that I'm not going to be trading myself. I do believe it will continue bearish down to this target here at 1.0078. All right, I do. And we may see some drift. We may see some drift for a bearish flag. You see how price makes these big, wide ranging moves like that? It's basically been neutral going across. All right, look from here to here, and it finally reached here. All right, but where are we at now? Back down to here, the midpoint. All right, so this I'm not thinking about using this as one of my trade ideas because it's kind of in the middle of the rankings. But you can if you like to. I'm looking for price to get lower, but it may take its time to get there. We may have a pullback similar to this one, just on this side. All right, and then we can see that the rest go down. Let's go to the Aussie dollar. All right, this is one that's pretty simple. 74% of the banks are short in this, and they closed 1,038 long positions, and they've closed also 3,673 short positions. All right, they've closed that amount, but they are majority short. All right. Let me tell you something. I'm short, and this is one of the ones you want to trade because this is a head and shoulders, a very well-defined head and shoulders, and it's a sloping head and shoulders. The slope is here. And if you don't know, this is the type of head and shoulders pattern that you want to take for shorts because the slope is indicating how much momentum there is to the downside. So I have a very, I'm not looking for price to pull back up and then form a bear flag or something. No, I'm looking for price to just to continue down and hit this target at 0.66855. Yes. So I think we're going to take this low and violate the demand here. And it's going to be a pretty good, a pretty direct thing, in my opinion. Let's move on to the yen, the Japanese yen. All right. The majority of banks are 64% short. They've closed 2,221. Oh, excuse me. They've closed 22,021, 22,221 long positions. They've closed that much. All right. That's pretty good at small, and to couple that with the fact that there's 64% of the banks are short on this. They've only added 503 short positions. All right, this is quite compelling. All right, the yen. The Bank of Japan wants to keep that yen very weak. I'm going over to the 2002 low that they broke. That was broken way back when. All right, and we are trading under that key structure point. So as long as we're trading under there, I'm telling you that things are very bearish. All right, very bearish. All right, we can see the dots where I have the dots. That those are swing lows. That's a swing low, swing highs, and we are back below the swing low. And I'm looking for more bearishness to come. Okay. If price drifts even a little bit, I'm looking at that drift to stop right about here. And we can see price kind of just give you your entry model there to look for shorts. It may stop here. It may come up here and then continue down lower. But I'm looking for price. If it does drift up, I'm looking for it to stop drifting right about here and then continue bearishly. So watch for this. All right. That's going to be an easy one, and you can put this one against the US dollar and the CAD, I believe. And let's move on to the New Zealand dollar. The New Zealand dollar, what is the COT report? Come on, man. Why, man? Why make this hard on me? Okay. All right. The COT report says it's 54%. It wasn't even worth it. The COT report says last week banks were 54% short. Not even worth looking at. All right. So this is a bearish market. All right. We see the swing low here being broken. New swing low. So a high, a lower low, and a return. A correction of this last bearish leg. We managed to take the liquidity from the top, but it didn't hold. All right, it didn't hold. It didn't keep going. Bearish. We are bearish, and I am staying bearish on this. We broke the lowest part, the lowest swing here, and took the liquidity there. I'm looking for price now. You see how we closed on Friday. This is a bullish candle, right? If price continues up, I'm looking for it to sweep this high, but I believe that the high will be taken out here, and we're going to continue lower down to this target at 0.5923. Yeah, I do believe that price will reach that quite possibly next week. All right, this is the New Zealand dollar, and it is very weak, and I definitely have this on my agenda to short against. And we got the last one coming up, the weakest of them all, the British pound, the sterling. All right, my dots are all moved over. There's no reason for that. I don't know why TradingView has that little glitch, but it does, and it's okay. I'll live. All right, Why didn't you move over? Anyways, we have lower lows, lower highs, and lower lows, right? We broke this swing low here very bearishly. Look at all, I mean, that is a more than a week of just straight bearishness, and we're heading towards the target of 1.1438. All right, that target is based on the very low. Once we get past here, there's a lot of air down here. If you go down, I'm not even sure this chart will be able to show you the data. No, I don't have it on this chart, but it's going to go low. All right, and I'm looking for a price to hit this target next week, and probably some more. So look for it. If price starts to pull back for any reason, all right, because the euro interest rate will affect this, but will have an effect on the US dollar and the pound, being that it's in proximity. But this thing is going down. All right. And this is going to be one of my strongest plays for next week. Okay. That's it. Now, I gave you, I listed to you what my strongest plays were. I'm going to be putting out some videos for it this weekend. And I want you to line this up. All right, look at these pairs. Look at the RT money meter. All right, check each individual pair. Look at the charts, because with the CAD, that number can be a little deceiving. It looks like the CAD is getting weaker, and as an individual currency, it is. All right, but when paired against the weaker currencies that are actually getting weaker, like the pound, the New Zealand dollar, and the Aussie dollar, they're actually getting weaker. And you can put the yen in that. So when there's momentum to the downside, and they're already ranked in the lower four, it's safe to put the top two, whether it's at a lesser number than it was last week or not. You understand? That's the power. That's where you get your insights for which pairs to take. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please make sure you leave a comment and give me some feedback. If this kind of information, this kind of analysis is useful for you to put together a trading plan for next week, if it helps you with your outlook, okay? Smash that like button for me, and do tell a friend that you find the video and content helpful. I'd like to hear from you in the comment section, and I will see you in the next video.